afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Maximise Your Membership, our webinar designed to help you get the most out of your FSB membership. Or if you're not already a member, hopefully we'll tell you a little bit about it so that you'll be interested to find out more and hopefully end up joining our FSB family. My name is Ness Gale, and I'll be your host today. I'm being supported by Beth Dole, who is doing all the background stuff and sorting out all the tech for us, which is fantastic. And we also have a panel of experts to give you some support and advice and let you know just what FSB is all about. So we've got James Cordiner, who is from FSB Tax Investigations Insurance. We've got Sam Holliday, who is a development manager. And we've got Katie Fremantle, who is the Managing Director of FSB Insurance Service. Okay, just to let you know that this is actually being recorded, and after the session I will send the recording out to everybody, so you won't have to take notes if you don't want to. And I will be sharing later on some slides during this, doing a presentation on some of the benefits, and you'll find them on the recording later as well. So if you don't see all the details, you'll be able to stop and pause your recording and see the details from there. We're going to have a Q&A session as well at the end, hopefully for about 15 minutes. So if you've got any questions, could you save them until the end, because we'll have that Q&A session to answer as many of your questions as we possibly can. If we don't get through all of them, then we will get back to you anyway afterwards. We haven't got a chat box today, so you won't be able to put any information in the chat box, but do please use the Q&A session to put any of the questions in that you think of along the way, and we'll get to them at the end. Okay, lovely. So without further ado, I'm going to just very quickly go through the main benefits that we have on offer to FSB members, and just to give you a little bit of a flavour and an idea of what's available to you. It's going to be a bit of a whiz through, so if I go too fast or if you don't pick something up, you can ask questions at the end, and also you can look at the slides from the recording. Okay, right, well, if you don't mind sharing the benefits presentation, Beth, then we'll get started on that one. Okay, so this Maximise Your Membership session, as I said, is designed to help you find out all about our FSB benefits. So we'll go on to the next slide, please. Why do people join the FSB? There's a myriad of reasons, and there's an awful lot of benefits that we offer. Some of the benefits will be for some people and some of them will be for others. Not everybody's going to utilise all the benefits, but the one thing I really need to drive home to you is that you need to check on our website what's on there, the benefits that we're offering, because we change benefits quite often and the new things come on board and you may not necessarily be aware of what's available to you. Make sure you are literally maximising your membership and getting the most out of it. So people join because we have member-only deals. We've got 24/7 helplines available. So when you're feeling anxious and worried at 3 in the morning, you've got somebody at the end of a phone, and that can really make a big difference. We've got over £200,000 worth of essential cover for you on various areas. 1,500 plus legal documents that you can download. They've been written by a solicitor and you can be rest assured they're up to date and they cover everything for you. You can download them, make them bespoke to your business, and you can use those templates. So far, we've managed to secure more than £5 million worth of debt, outstanding debts that small businesses have been hanging around waiting for payment for, which is fantastic, and we're doing more and more of that all the time. And we've got an award-winning customer service. So we have our customer service team that you can call, and they will be able to support you and direct you to where you need to be. Next slide, please, Beth. We've got support through our healthcare app. We offer support on health and safety, occupational health, training, we have payroll and pensions, and we offer PR and crisis management. For protection, we've got our legal and business hub, a legal advice line, employment protection, insurance service, legal protection scheme, and tax investigation protection. And for business, we offer business banking, 3 types of business banking in actual fact. We offer support and advice on franchising, we have a funding platform, help and support on payments, and also on making tax digital. So we have legal protection insurance, and some of the highlights of that is you get our 24/7 legal advice, as I said earlier, getting the answers when you need them, talking to experts in areas like legal compliance, HR, health and safety, tax and crisis management, and other things. So, it really is worth knowing about that. We like to think that you've got a legal and an HR department in your back pocket. FSB employment protection, well, as I say, your go-to for HR advice, available 24/7. We're covering employment disputes and defence, including legal representation, and we can advise on all sorts of HR stuff like contracts, policies, tribunal actions, firing and dismissal, all sorts of those areas that you may well need from time to time. Now, our tax investigation insurance is fabulous, and I'm not going to talk about that now because we have a real expert with us today in James Cordiner, and he's going to tell you all about it later. So we'll skip on to the next one. We have PR and crisis management. So if you get a really bad review somewhere, we've got somebody who can help support you, and we've got up to £10,000 in the event of a major PR crisis. We've got a 24/7 helpline again for that. And we're offering support and advice on health and safety. We can give you 4 free CPD certified training modules to help upskill your business online wherever you are. We've got experienced advisors on hand to recommend the right actions. FSB Insurance Service, and again, I'm not going to talk about this because Katie Fremantle, who is the MD of FSB Insurance Service, is on hand today to tell you all about it and give you all the details. Now, we've got 3 offerings in our business banking. We have Zempler Bank, which is an online banking service, smart, simple, digital banking for small businesses and startups. It's great as your main account, no credit checks, minimum balance requirements, and you can actually get 1% cash back on that. So it's a great business banking for starting up. And we've also got Alica Bank, which is a reward account. So FSB have a business rewards account with Alica, and basically this is designed for more established businesses, and they can offer up to 1.5% cashbacks and no monthly fees. And our high street banking offer is with the Cooperative Bank, and it's the only UK high street bank with a customer-led ethical policy. You can pay in cheques up to £1,000, cash free of charge per charging period, no arrangement fees, no introductory periods, a choice of ways to bank with them, including 24/7 digital banking through their online banking and mobile app. So you've got a range of business banking solutions really there, depending on, how you would like to proceed. FSB training. This is fairly new. We offer up to 700 plus CPD accredited courses, which you can use for yourself or for your staff to upskill your staff, and it covers a huge range of areas from rabbit keeping to bookkeeping and health and safety, and a gamut across the whole gamut of areas, and it's CPD accredited. It does cost £80 per person, but for that you get a whole year's worth of access to all these training courses which you will be certified for afterwards. So you can upskill yourself, upskill your staff. You can make sure that mandatory training is completed, all your health and safety and sector specific courses as well. So it's a really great benefit. And as I mentioned earlier, we have our debt recovery. We've got over £5 million recovered so far, and late payments are a scourge to businesses, to small businesses, and they're all too common. It's something that FSB have been campaigning against ever since we started 50 years ago. So our debt recovery service will give you all the help and support that you need from debt recovery experts. And we've got our funding platform. Free and easy to search and apply for funding. We've negotiated discounts for FSB managers and you can apply for funding to over 100 business lenders. You get one-to-one support from a dedicated funding specialist, and you can check your eligibility for free without affecting your credit score. And for payments, we have FSB payments with Till by NatWest. Payments to suit you, face-to-face, over the phone or through online card payments. We're making it easier for your customers to pay you, fast secure payments for you and your customers. Backed by NatWest, one of the UK's biggest and best known banks, and no minimum monthly service charges, next working day settlements, getting you your money quickly. FSB Healthcare, again, a fairly new benefit you may not be aware of. For an additional fee of £39 for the year, not for the month, for the year, you will get access to 24/7 GP who can prescribe. You'll get discounted deals exclusively for FSB members. There is 3 face-to-face physiotherapy sessions included, 6 counselling sessions, and discounted health checks, free digital workout buddy, and much more. And that literally is £39 per person. Now you can get that for yourself, which is fantastic. But if you've got staff, you can also use it as a way of giving your staff something back. We can't always give staff a pay rise at the moment with the current climate, but if you can give them something extra, then that will be fantastic and also will help with retention. So you can you can buy it as a package, as a benefit for your staff as well. And we've got our occupational health, tailored expert advice on how you can keep your team healthy in the workplace. FSB franchising, you'll get a free session to explore your franchising potential, including intellectual property, licensing requirements and general suitability. So if you're thinking about franchising as a way of doing business, then it's definitely worth getting that free session to find out more about it. We've got help and support with making tax digital, so you can get up to speed in minutes with our easy to use HMRC recognised app. And our FSB payments and pensions. So we've come up with the way that you can make payroll and pensions not so pricey. We've negotiated terms with smart pensions for FSB members only, and payroll and pensions compliance made easy. Definitely worth finding out more about that one. Okay, so that is, as I say, a whiz through the benefits that are available to you. And if you need more information, look at the slides on the recording later or ask us questions at the end of the session. Okay, so onwards and upwards. Now we're going to turn to, as I said, to James. And James is going to talk all about the tax investigation insurance, which was on the slides, and he's going to give you all the details on that one. So over to you, please, James.
Okay. Thanks very much, Ness, and thanks for the invite once again for this event. It's good to be really good to be part of these events and share our experiences, and our support with FSB. So I've got about 8 minutes, I think. Shall try and stick to time. Somebody will tell me if I don't. I've got a few areas I want to cover. Ness has touched on the tax protection cover, kind of broken my time slot into kind of 4 relatively brief sections. So just a little bit about me, first of all. I'm ex-revenue, so I'm an ex-inspector of taxes. In my day, it was Inland Revenue. It's now HMRC. Moved over from, shall we say, the dark side about 20 years ago now. And I now head up the tax investigations team here at Markel Tax, which was previously Abbey Tax. And we've been providing support and assistance to FSB members for more than 25 years now. And I've personally dealt with probably 500 to 600 inquiries on behalf of FSB members, and given lots of advice, ad hoc advice where it's been needed to FSB members as well. So I'm going to cover the benefit in a little bit of detail, and then I'm going to do a section on things that you probably should know about HMRC, or good to know about HMRC and how they operate. And then I've got a few case studies that I'm going to touch on as well in the time that we've got. So Ness skipped over the slide a little bit on the tax protection cover, which is fine. But in relation to that member benefit for FSB members, it is a right of membership to have that tax protection cover in place as part of your membership with FSB. And it gives you that support really when you need it most, when you've got a tax or VAT inquiry from HMRC, which can be quite a stressful, quite a difficult period when you're trying to run a business at the end of the day, because that's your focus. What you get as part of that member benefit is it's a representational scheme. So you get me or one of my team who are from that revenue background in the main. And we provide a very important buffer between you and HMRC during that process. Generally, when it comes to tax inquiries, it's not a quick process. On average, I would say an HMRC inquiry tends to last about 18 months at the moment, but we have seen significant delays with the department, which causes us lots of problems and lots of frustration, but we try and manage that as best we can. If you've got an accountant, we will cover any reasonable costs for your accountant to assist us in the process, providing that those costs are agreed and authorised in advance. But we generally, the process is that we will liaise with your accountant and yourself with a view to providing information that's needed. But we're on the front line with HMRC in terms of controlling the inquiry process and the responses and so on. And we will provide a robust defence where this is needed. Our role is ultimately to get the best possible outcome for you during that process. And lastly, on this section in relation to the benefit, it's free. There's no catch. There is no cost to you. If you are a VAT registered business, yes, you'll get a VAT only invoice at the end of the inquiry, because we have to do that because HMRC ask us to do that. But you can claim that back in your next VAT return. So there's no net cost to you at all for the member benefit. Okay. Just going to move on to a couple of things about HMRC. Quickly look at the clock. First thing I would say is HMRC is very much an information-led organisation nowadays. There's a lot of information flows into HMRC from third parties, such as banks, credit, debit card providers, merchant acquirers, we would refer to them as, other government departments, such as Land Registry, and overseas entities as well, overseas governments. So there's more data now than ever before within HMRC. If there's any problem with that, it's probably a resourcing issue for HMRC getting through that data, but they have plenty of time in certain situations to do that. It's important to mention the use of social media, websites, information that's in the public domain, which HMRC use as well, and it's important to be very careful. You can potentially raise a few red flags with HMRC if they see that you've got a nice new car parked up your driveway, which perhaps doesn't align with what you're declaring on your tax return. So it's always really important to just be mindful of that. There may be other reasons and other sources of income, obviously, that can explain that, but you may be, say, raising that red flag to HMRC and say, come and ask me some questions. So just be careful. HMRC invested about £100 million a number of years ago into a system that they call Connect. And if you have a look at, do a Google search on that Connect system, certainly a couple of years ago, they spoke about having 55 billion pieces of data. So the volume that's within that system is very, very high, and it is really a risk-based system that HMRC now operate on. That said, there's always the potential for a random inquiry. HMRC are policing the system, with random inquiries, so it's not necessarily a specific risk. They might just think, we've got a few questions on this business that we need to ask just to make sure that everything is in order. I'm going to mention a couple of things on the inquiry process. So if thinking about from the tax side, VAT is obviously in quarters, but looking at it from a tax inquiry point of view, they're generally, HMRC that is, looking at one specific accounting period. So that's the focus of the inquiry. It would only extend into other periods if there were identified errors from that initial review of one accounting period. So it's always that focus. And it's always really important that we ensure that HMRC are focused on that period and are not pushing the boundaries, which unfortunately they do. I use the phrase control the controllables. We don't control whether HMRC are going to open an inquiry into your tax affairs, but what we can control is what they're asking for. Is it reasonable? Is it relevant? Is it appropriate, for the purpose of checking your tax position? So we control what we can. When it comes to things like information requests, there might be a myth out there that HMRC, one, have access to all your private bank accounts. They don't. They do get information in relation to interest paid, but they don't have access to those private accounts. I'll tell you now, it would make their job a lot easier if they did, but they don't. So they have to ask for it as part of the inquiry if they feel it's appropriate. But again, that question, is it appropriate? They don't have a divine right to ask for sight of your private bank accounts during the course of an inquiry. They have to have just cause. And the same with meetings. It's very different post-COVID. HMRC are reluctant now probably to have face-to-face meetings. Most things are done virtually. But if they do ask for a meeting, there isn't any obligation to attend that meeting. So it is, again, your right not to attend. And we would always advise on the benefits of having a meeting with HMRC against maybe the negatives of having a meeting, but we'd have an open mind on that and have that conversation with you. But it is really important to have dialogue and cooperation with the process, because if you're not having dialogue and you're not cooperating, things are just going to, be extended in terms of the time frame, and you want to have as much as you can a bit of a relationship with the case officer that you're dealing with. Very briefly, just on penalties, if there is something wrong, if HMRC identify a problem, then you are exposed to the potential to be charged a penalty. But there's a sliding scale on the penalty system. So if you've taken reasonable care, there shouldn't be a penalty. If you've been a bit careless, maybe there would be, but that penalty can be suspended. If it's a bit more serious and considered to be deliberate, then you are exposed to higher penalties. We're speaking about a sliding scale here from 0 to 100% in general terms, that is. And if you've been a bit naughty and it's deliberate and concealed, then you're likely to, have the proverbial book thrown at you a little bit and be charged a higher penalty. So it's important that the facts of the case are made clear to HMRC and that the correct penalty is charged. And with that in mind, it's having that right representation, which we feel obviously that you get, as part of your membership with FSB. If you make a claim and you've got, our team representing you. So that's very, very briefly on the inquiry process. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you've got on that. And I'm just keeping one eye on the time here. I think I'm okay for maybe a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to cover off a few case studies. So this is real life examples of cases that we've been involved with. Not going to give any specific names here, apart from the one that's on the FSB website, so that's already in the public domain. But the first case I'm going to mention is a wholesale business where, suffice to say, HMRC had some concerns on the banking relationship, or the banking activity, I should say, between business accounts and personal accounts, and they did have access to the personal accounts in that case. We got involved quite late in the day on that case, where HMRC were assessing, to the tune of £250,000, tax, interest, tax, VAT, interest and penalties. We were able to carry out a full review of the facts of the case, provide an explanation to HMRC that was credible, justifiable, and it demonstrated that there weren't any issues, and basically HMRC were wrong. After a bit of back and forth, that position was accepted with no additional liability. So we achieved a very positive outcome for the member there. £250,000 isn't an insignificant sum, as I'm sure you'll agree. So to get that down to no additional liability was good, very good. Second one, slightly different circumstance, different type of business, a care home. Again, revenue concerns, looking to assess more than 100,000. There were issues in that case, and one of the difficulties that we had was actually getting HMRC to reopen the case, because they'd effectively closed the case and we had to submit a late appeal, which HMRC rejected, and we had to go to the solicitor's office, HMRC's or HM solicitor's office, sorry, it's now the legal group it's called, but we had to get their agreement to reopen the case, which we did. And again, a review of the case, the circumstances, there was some tax to pay. It was about 10,000 rather than the 100-odd thousand that HMRC were looking for. There was also the potential for the members' details to be published as a deliberate defaulter. That was taken away as well, which was again a very positive outcome for the member. And thirdly, just the one I'll reference, if you go on the FSB website, you'll see a bit of a testimonial from a member, Josh Harbias, who I dealt with and represented a few years ago, which is quite a nice kind of bit of support really in terms of the assistance that you get, say, as part of being a member of FSB, and in his case, it was a very lengthy inquiry. I mentioned the average being 18 months. I think in his case it was 5 years. The process was ongoing for. So very difficult time, and we were able to help Josh get a successful outcome, with HMRC, given the circumstances of his situation. So there's a couple of examples there where we got involved quite late in the day. My advice would be, if you do get that brown envelope from HMRC looking into your tax or VAT affairs, that you do get in touch, with the FSB, or indeed us directly, if you've got any questions about how the process works, what's covered under the policy, and so on. HMRC's compliance activity is quite wide and varied. If it's covered under the terms of the policy, then great. We'll assist on that basis. Some things are not, but it tends to be more serious stuff, like fraud-related stuff. We can help with all aspects of HMRC activity, to be honest. And most of that, I think it's fair to say, is covered under the terms of the policy. But if in doubt, please reach out, speak to me or one of the other individuals at Markel, or indeed FSB directly, and we can certainly have a chat, and always do that, about how we can help in certain situations. So I think I'm just about in time, maybe slightly over, Ness, apologies. But yeah, if there's any questions, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on the Markel Tax Investigations webpage, so feel free to get in touch if you want to ask me anything. But I hope that was useful.
Thank you, James. That was actually brilliant. Thank you so much. Those case studies really drive it home. I mean, wow. Fancy being able to turn those situations round into positive outcomes for our members, because it's a scary time, isn't it, dealing with tax investigations and things, and worrying, and to have that support behind you to take that all away is just amazing.
I think the comment is just on the buffer point. I think it's really important to have that, because as much as we can, in those situations, you're trying to let the member focus on the business. They've
Yeah.
still got business to run, so focus on the business. We'll, do the liaison. Obviously, there's certain things that we need input from the member on, but it's trying to, take that
Yeah.
stressful situation, or make that stressful situation a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you really ever so much for that. Really appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go over now to Katie Fremantle, who's the MD of FSB Insurance Service, and she's going to tell you all about that benefit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. I think, Beth, you're going to kindly share some slides for me, so thank you very much. And you can skip straight on to the next one for me, please. So for those of you who aren't aware, may not possibly be members just yet, FSB Insurance Service was created by FSB in 2018 to fill a gap in the market to help their membership organisation with the complex side of insurance needs that members have. So although within FSB, small businesses, the idea is potentially that they're going to be quite straightforward organisations who may be able to arrange and manage their own insurance requirements. Unfortunately, that isn't always the case, and small businesses can be quite as complex in their business needs and insurance needs as they are for the larger organisations. So FSB's solution was, rather than their members having to be sent directly to large call centres or being directed online to businesses which are classed as non-advised sales, where there's no advice being provided, they wanted to create their own advisory business, insurance brokerage, which is where we are now. So FSB started with their own stake of 30%, and they increased that to 49%, having deemed the project a success in 2023, which we're incredibly proud of. And also FSB, as they are a company limited but a guarantee, that means that the members actually own a stake in the organisation as well. So the idea is that we are here to provide an advisory service for said members, and that is whether they're insured with us or not. Thank you very much, Beth. As I've alluded to already, insurance is not a simple product to buy, and that is why we've taken on the mantra ourselves, is the good advice, quality products, value for money, and making sure that we are providing advice to members so that they're covered correctly, selling products which will deliver when called upon at a price which represents good value. It is so important to be properly insured, having taken advice. A couple of examples of cases that we've seen where members have gone online and tackled the world of insurance themselves. Regrettably, they aren't always aware of the legal requirements as well. Employer's liability, for example, if you're a limited company where there's more than one director, technically they're classed as an employee of the organisation. It's a legal requirement to have employer's liability. So we need to make sure that we're providing as much guidance as possible. And being a member of FSB and having registered for FSB Insurance Service, which I'll come on to explain shortly, you do get access to a wide host of blogs and marketing from ourselves, which provides a little bit of background, feedback, and information on insurance, how to navigate it, who to speak to about what. Thank you, Beth. I alluded to being registered with FSB Insurance Service, so how members can use us. So here on the left-hand side, it's a little bit of a diagram of how you get access to the insurance service. So when we first started, we were probably a little bit overcautious with FSB Insurance Service Limited being a separate legal entity to FSB, and GDPR just coming in. We did create something called a registration process. We do not get access to the full FSB database. You have to be registered for FSB Insurance Service. If you are a member who isn't registered already, then please go onto the FSB Insurance Service website and you can register. And the one bit of information that we do ask is for your commercial renewal date. And then we can contact you to discuss your renewal at the appropriate time. But by registering and giving us your information and contact information, you'll get access to the full list of registration benefits on the right-hand side, which are even additional quirks and freebies to what is provided through the actual FSB membership itself. And then when you purchase a policy from us, then that is when you would become a customer. So on the right-hand side, so again, as a reminder, this is FSB members who have registered with the FSB Insurance Service. We are an advice line, whether you're insured with us or not. We are a full commercial broking service, so whether that is your liabilities, your indemnity, the property that you're from, the commercial premises that you reside in, that you're trading from, your stock contents, then that is what we are here to resolve your insurance solutions for. We've also got zero-based policy reviews. If you have got a quirky business or a larger policy which is just rolled on year, we do recommend that it is reviewed, and especially in the last couple of years where it's been quite turbulent in the world. We've obviously got Brexit, COVID, inflation, all impacting cost of materials, labour costs. The list goes on. So it is vital that you do a review, and we're happy to do that for you. So if you are a bit complex and you feel you do need to start from scratch, we will take your existing policy, talk you through it, but also discuss any additional benefits that we think may be of use to you. We also have a free business continuity planning toolkit, which is so vital for small businesses. And it's also a real benefit to provide to your broker or your insurer to say you've got this in place, because it's basically a disaster recovery plan. And it shows how quickly, and your plans of how to get back up and trading in the event of the worst possible scenario occurring, such as a flood, fire, at your premises and you being unable to trade. So the business continuity planning toolkit basically is providing you with all of the various scenarios that may impact your business and what you would need to think about in order to get back up and running as soon as possible to make that impact your business as little as can be. We then have free commercial rebuilding calculator tools. We have got 3 different facilities for this. So we have a red, amber, green facility, also accessible from our welcome pack that we'll send to you upon registration. And it's as simple as putting in your postcode along with your current sum insured for the commercial property, with some very few basic details on the premises itself, and it will come back with an indicator on whether you are sufficiently insured, just about right, or unfortunately underinsured, which from speaking to the surveyors that we speak to, regrettably, that is still running at a rate of 40% of commercial properties are underinsured. So it is vital that properties are valued, and we recommend every 3 years. If you have a quirky premises, or you do want to have a more in-depth valuation, we've got a desktop valuation service with a little bit more information at £149 plus VAT, which is an absolutely incredible price for having a RICS approved survey, which will be accepted by insurers. Is available through our facility, or if you do want a face-to-face visit to have a portfolio, shall we say, then we can arrange preferential rates for a face-to-face survey meeting. We then also have a free business credit risk analysis tool with one of our third parties that we work with. This is analysing the risk that you have as a business by providing credit to your customers. And this leads on to having 10 free credit checks a year. For simplicity, and because it is one of the more popular questions we get asked, is these are UK limited companies, preferably. We can cover European organisations, and we try to assist if needed for sole traders and partnerships, but limited companies are where you're obviously having to submit your annual accounts, and it's available on Companies House, and also credit companies are able to access additional information. For sole traders and people outside of the UK, it can be trickier to actually obtain full credit ratings and risk analysis on businesses. And also free, easy guide to insurance, as I mentioned earlier, just providing you with a little bit more of a hand-holding facility to be able to gauge what you may need for insurance. So thank you, Beth. And this page is basically us bragging. We want to highlight how good we feel that we are, but also the evidence of the members supporting us. We only provide insurance solutions for members. So last year, so this is against 2023, we had 21% growth in written premium, which is incredible. We broke over £2 million of new business premium, which is amazing. The sales team are both telephony based in Croydon with me, but also we do have the remote functionality as well. We do have a team covering the UK, so if we do have any larger organisations that need a face-to-face visit, then that can be arranged. Our quote to conversion rate at 45% is probably market leading. I would say commercial conversion rates will probably be pushing at 30%. So for us to have a rate of 45, we're incredibly proud, and the team do a great job of providing the correct insurances to our members. We retain 92% at renewal, which just shows that we're doing something right. And to have a world-class NPS score of 89% is incredible as well. Very unheard of in insurance and especially broking sectors. We've had an additional, we're up to 50,000 registered members. The field team taken over 19,000 phone calls between us, and our audit rate being 90%, considering how fast we're growing and with additional members of staff. I just want you all to make sure that you're aware that you're in safe hands. We know what we're doing. And thankfully, FSB members do rely upon us to provide their insurance solutions. Thank you very much, Beth. And don't believe just us or myself, we have been recognised, and we've got various achievements in the industry. As a relatively new organisation ourselves, we've had to go for these awards to highlight that we're not rookies in the industry, and that between us we've got a very long year worth of experience. But we are very proud to say that we have got various nominations and awards for being recognised in categories from Startup of the Year, Best Affinity Broker, Customer Champion through to Diversity and Inclusion. I also personally sit on the British Insurance Brokers Association SME Advisory Board. Try saying that quickly. And our CEO is on the Financial Conduct Authority's Smaller Business Practitioners panel. So again, just to evidence, we know what we're talking about. We want to make sure that we're providing a valuable solution to the members, and that is why we were created in the first place. Thank you, Beth. We also want to make sure that we're doing good as well. So we believe that our business benefits from taking time to do good for others. We pick a different charity each year to support, trying to prove that. So last year's association was with Lives Not Knives, which is a youth-led charity dedicated to preventing knife crime and empowering disadvantaged young children. We generated over £30,000 in the end from various resources, which we're incredibly proud of. And that is Vicky and Duncan doing a 47k South Coast Ultra Challenge on the left. And on the right-hand side, this year we have picked Dementia Carers Count. The dementia charities are incredibly stretched at the moment. There are carers who are under an incredible amount of pressure, and there isn't the support that is needed. So we're looking to do some fundraising this year. The chaps at the bottom are entered in for a mud run at the end of the year. So please do get following us on LinkedIn to see how they do on that. I'm sure they'll be incredible. But that is us pretty much from the beginning to end. We're here for FSB members alone, and I'd like to think hopefully that's sold it for you. So again, as James said, any questions, please do pop them over at the end and I'll try my best to answer. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you so much, Katie. And I'm astonished that 40% of small businesses are underinsured. That's quite worrying, isn't it?
It's scary, and some of those are actually up to 40% underinsured. So 40% are underinsured by at least 40% as well. So I appreciate that it doesn't help premiums, and I know that money is tight at the moment, but it's vital to make sure that you're covered correctly, because otherwise it's going to be pretty pointless at the time when you need it.
Exactly, yeah. So do make sure you're registered for that service and for that benefit, and get that check done. Thank you, Katie. That's brilliant. And congratulations on your success and all your awards. Okay, well, we've spoken quite a lot already about lots of benefits, and we've heard from people. We're going to hear shortly from Sam Holiday, who's one of our development managers. But just before we turn to Sam, I just wanted to let you know about some of the reviews that we've received on FSB Trustpilot. We have a Trustpilot page, and just some of the fantastic reviews we've received from members and also non-members as well. I'm going to just read a few out for you, but you can have a look on our FSB Trustpilot page. Have a look for yourself. If you think that something is going really well, we'd love to hear from you.
No, sorry to interrupt. We're getting a bit of feedback from your speaking. A couple of people commented on it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Let me see.
Do you want to pass over to me while you try and sort that out?
Yeah, that's a very good idea, Sam. Thank you. I didn't realise.
Okay, Ness, thank you for that. Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for that, Ness. I think take that slide down now, Beth, and we'll look at that in a little while. Yes, as Ness said, my name is Sam Holiday. I'm one of the development managers for the Federation of Small Businesses. Now, I cover the Gloucestershire, Bristol, Bath and South Gloucestershire area, if anybody knows this part of the Southwest. But there's people who do my job all across the country. So wherever you are, from the tip of Scotland to the deepest Cornwall, there'll be somebody doing my role, as there is Ness's and Beth's, who are operation support coordinators. And our job, if you like, is to be the link between you, the members, and the sort of various stakeholders in the world that can make a difference to our business lives. So we'll talk to councils, we'll talk to council officers, we'll talk to MPs, we'll talk to the media, we'll tell them what the small business community is up to, what problems they face, and just as importantly, try and get things from them that we think might be able to help our members. So if I meet a council, I might tell them, about sort of things happening in the area that I cover, and they'll say, well, do you know about these grants that we've got, or these workshops that we're putting on? And then we'll advertise those via the various social media sites that we do. So by all means, follow me on LinkedIn, which is usually the best one. But look on the FSB website, find out who your local representatives, your local development managers are, and they will be just as happy to connect with you, and so you can find out what's happening locally. So it's important that we're out there influencing people, but how do we find out what people are up to? Well, the FSB conducts quite a lot of surveys, and I know sometimes we all get far too many emails coming into our inbox, but if you do see an FSB survey coming, please try and answer it, because your answers really help, so we can actually know what the problems are for small businesses, and then we can go and share that with the people that can make a difference. And we really, really can make a difference, so please try and get that. But we also love to talk to members. I've spotted one or two people in the attendees today who I've had chats with, people that approach us and tell us about their business, and we might be able to help them, might be able to point them in the direction of people who might be able to support them. So get in contact with your local field staff, because that's what we're here for. We just want to be the link, if you like, between you and the people that can make a difference. Now, we all work locally, and there's a lot of us out there working locally, but we're part of a wider national policy team. Now, you may or may not be aware, but the FSB has been here for 50 years. And it's not only the biggest business group in the country, and the best, dare I say, but it's also the most influential. And many of the policies to do with small businesses that you hear about, that governments come out with, are a direct as a result of conversations with our policy teams, whether that be in Parliament or in all the devolved areas as well. So we're out there every day campaigning on behalf of small businesses. And to give you one major example, obviously remember during COVID, all the awful things that happened then for small businesses, we were at the heart of all the conversations with governments about the furlough scheme. And it's through our influence that we were able to encourage the government to introduce the most generous furlough system in the whole world. There's nothing else quite like it. Now, you don't always win when you're doing policy. We didn't get enough support for the self-employed. Don't get me started on that one. But we never stop trying, and we never stop campaigning. And that's what we do. And so we need you to tell us what your problems are, so we can feed them back to the people who help them. So that's one aspect of what we do locally in the field staff. But another one is we arrange events. Now, we do boot camps. They're great if you get a chance to get one of those in your local area. We do some face-to-face events, but we also do quite a lot of virtual networking. Now, virtual networking is something that a lot of people didn't know anything about. We didn't really, but then COVID hit, and it was the only way to get people together. And they've since gone on from strength to strength. And I kind of thought that once COVID ended, that they'd die with it, but they haven't. If anything, they're getting even more successful. And so I just urge anybody, whether you're a regular networker or someone who's never networked before, just to sort of go and experience one. So if you go onto the FSB website, look under FSB events, and you'll find all the different events that we do. And the beauty is, if you've got a business that's portable, as an FSB member, you can go on any of them. So you may be a Bristol-based business in my area, but you can go on to one in Scotland, you can go on to one in Wales, you can go on to one in Northern Ireland, you can go on to one in any part of England. And if you've got a portable business, why not? Use this. It's a brilliant way of connecting with people. And I think that's a really important aspect of networking as well. I meet quite a lot of people who are starting out in business, and I have to tell them something that not everyone tells them. Running a business can be a lonely affair. And networking is one of the ways to help with that, because you can go on and talk to people who've been through exactly the same problems as you have, and sometimes they come up with solutions. So use it, use our networking, and really sort of make as much of that as you can. So that's what we do in the field staff. We act as the link, we act as the bridge between the stakeholders that can influence your business. And also we find out from you what your problems are. But so use us, find us on LinkedIn, find us on the FSB website, because we really want to help you. We want to understand your business, and we want to be able to pass your problems down the line. And just before passing back, you've heard so many benefits today. I should think your mind's getting blown already. But I'll throw in another one that if it doesn't always get mentioned, but I think is amazing. My wife got called up for jury service. Now she's works in NHS. She went off and did a jury service, which strangely she really enjoyed anyway. But she went off and did it, but knowing full well that her salary was being paid. If you run your own business, who's going to pay your salary while you're sitting on that jury? Well, you could be eligible to up to £250 a day for 10 days of jury service. Contact our legal service. They'll tell you all about that. What a brilliant extra thing that you've got as part of your FSB membership. So use all our benefits, use all of us as the field staff, and just make the very most of being part of Britain's biggest, and I'll say it again, best business group. Right, I'll just chat with Ness again. Ness, do you think you've got rid of the squeak, or are you okay to keep going? Oh, Beth is going to be doing it. So I'll pass over to my colleague, Beth. Beth, over to you, and thanks for listening.
I'll let Ness have a go, see if her voice is working.
Thank you very much. How's that? Is that any better, or are we still
Yeah.
getting... It's better.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Thank you. I don't know why that happens, but you know, sometimes these things do with technology. I'm just going to read out a couple of reviews, just very quickly. But you can certainly have a look yourself on our Trustpilot page. Just search FSB Trustpilot and they will come up. So we've got an excellent score on Trustpilot, which we're very proud of. And if you enjoy any of our events or you've got any comments you'd like to make, we really would appreciate you putting a review on Trustpilot. So if you go down next screen, next one, sorry, Beth, and I will just read a couple out. Okay, so somebody had said, I initially joined FSB a couple of years ago, didn't really make the most of it. Now that's really important to stress here, that people do join for one reason or another, and then they don't make the most of it. They don't check on the website to see what's available, and then they sort of think, oh, I'm not really using this. It's not, you know, and they don't really know what's there for them. So this person rejoined a couple of years ago now, and it's a brilliant resource for businesses across the board, in addition to the opportunities to network, as Sam has just said, and collaborate. Excellent value for money. This one I think was quite important. We had been chasing an unpaid invoice for 4 months, and although it wasn't a huge amount for a small business, it was a lot. And the cost of seeking legal help outweighed the option of looking at this. One of our membership advisors explained to this member about the legal guidance and the free documents that the FSB had to offer. And within 24 hours of signing up, we were able to get access to support and documents, and another 48 hours later we had sent a letter and we had been paid the invoice. That invoice paid for our membership alone. And I think that's just great. So lovely to hear that we are actually out there helping people with those things. Can you just do the next slide, please, Beth? And I think there's one more on there. As always, great to be part of FSB. I used to be a member and then I left for 4 months or so, only to realise I miss it. So I rejoined. But you've got to utilise it. You've got to visit the site, find important documents to use, get on the panels for presentations and speaker events, join the numerous events and networking. It really is a great community, with many people being within the FSB for many, many years. So that's what I try to emphasise. It's your membership. Make sure you use it, make sure you get the most out of it, and absolutely maximise your membership. Okay, so we're coming more or less to the end now. Now, I wonder if anybody's got any questions, because if not, we've got a couple of comments, but we don't really have any questions to answer. So unless anybody's got any questions in there, just to sum up. Oh, hang on. Okay, somebody is asking about, not actually about membership benefits, but how to feed back their thoughts on how we can improve networking. Okay, so when you go to a networking event, after you've attended, you will receive a form, a feedback form. Now, feedback forms are really important to us. That's the best way of getting information out, because we get a report and we can see all the feedback. So if somebody says this event was great except for this part of it, you know, that's your way of telling us and letting us know so that we can make it better.
Could I add to that as well, Ness?
I was saying,
Oh, sorry, Ness. The one thing I might add is that there are different types of networking all around the country, and not everyone will suit everybody. So, it could be that you go to one area and you find that that networking works for you, and you go for another one. We don't try and make it an exact template. We like to give people choice. So it could be that the networking that you go to may not be quite what you're looking for, but don't give up on us. Try a different one. That's what I'd always recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really open to feedback and we do respond to it. So, yeah, that's great. Thank you. Another question here about the training. So, the training courses that we offer, are you able to view the courses offered before you commit to paying for it? Yes, if you go onto our website and have a look on the website, you'll find all the details there. That's what I recommend you do. And if you can't find out all the information you need, get in touch with our customer service team and they will go through it all with you as well. And another one, which networking event is best if you're new to this? What do you think on that one, Sam?
Well, I would say probably start with your local one. Look for your local one first because you're going to maybe meet people that you know or business that you know. So start with your local one, but also go onto the FSB events page and look at all the types of networking because we don't just do generic local networking. We do some sector specific ones. I'll give you an example. I'm very proud of the fact that for the last 3 years I've run a networking for disabled entrepreneurs because 25% of all small business owners have either a mental or a physical condition. And so we get together once a month and we do great networking there. So it's not just area-based networking. We do lots of them. We do it for hospitality sector. We do it for ethnic minority-led businesses. Go and have a look at the events page. They're all available. And if they're virtual, they're all free as well. So you've got literally nothing to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And we also have a Creatives Connect, which is a lovely networking session for creative people, and that's going from strength to strength as well. Best thing to do is to have a look on our is if you just search FSB events, all our events will come up, and from that you can search your area and have a look down, book on one, and just go along. It doesn't cost you anything. It will take you an hour of your time, but also let the host know that you're new to networking. If you've not done networking before, let the host know and they can guide you through it. And if necessary, we can start the networking a little bit earlier for you and go through things. We can tell you how to work the Zoom controls and so forth, and what to expect from a networking session. So just flag it up that you'd like, you're new, you've never done this before. So and we will help you as much as we absolutely can. I'm just looking to see if we've got any more questions at all. Okay, here's another one. Can you highlight some of the benefits that would be useful for a solo business owner who is a virtual assistant? Okay, well, I would think that certainly some of the training courses might be useful for you if you want to have a look at those, but also ensuring that you've got all the correct all the stuff going for you that you need, all the insurances and things, networking and stuff like that. Anything else to add, anybody?
I would just say that I think the last time I saw that 50% of all FSB members are sole traders. So it's clearly something that works for sole traders, but it's like anything, you don't know until you need it. Some of what we offer, and I don't just mean exact insurance, but FSB is an insurance policy generally. You never know when you might need the problems. I'll give you a classic example of that. I live in Gloucester and my house flooded 18 months ago, and it was horrendous. And had I not got the insurance, or I'd moaned every year about paying, I'd be in real trouble. And I think FSB is like that. You never know when people like James used to be or come knocking on your door after your tax. You'll never know when you may have a problem with your own insurance. You may have someone that won't pay you. As a sole trader, the same as if you're a company with 50 employees, you can still have someone that won't pay you. So you may need a debt recovery service. I think the FSB is a fantastic insurance service, as well as having a fantastic insurance service.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam. And I think, you can just phone up and speak to our customer service team and just ask them questions, and they will be able to put you in touch with the right area. So whether it's the legal team, or if you've got some legal questions you want to find out about, or if it's just networking or anything, but they will be able to put you in touch with the right area to cover that. So that's what I would recommend. I hope that's answered that. I just don't think we've got any more, but we're sort of certainly running out of time now. How do you find out what insurance you need? Well, Katie.
Absolutely, it can be a hard one depending on what your business is. It's quite diverse. So if you're clerical, sort of more advice driven, I would definitely recommend indemnity insurance. So that is protecting you in the event of providing wrongful information, advice to a customer, which was to cause them a financial loss. If you're going to have engagement with members of staff, take on any members of staff, employers' liability, then again, sort of physical interaction with members of the public, and whether at your premises or at events, third-party locations, public liability. If you have a premises and actual material items to insure, such as property, stock, content, then definitely go down that route. Cyber is going everywhere. Everyone should have cyber. Regrettably, there aren't enough small business examples of Jane down the road suffering a cyber attack. So people think that they'll only go for the large organisations, like M&S is happening at the moment, and large like TfL have had it, NHS have had it. They're the ones that are on the news. The small businesses don't get put into the press because it relies upon them actually announcing that they've been attacked, which doesn't happen. So any online trading businesses with data being held, any potential ransoms, phishing email attacks, I'd recommend that, directors and officers, to protect yourselves if you're a director of a limited company. Unfortunately, the list is endless and does go on, but happy to have a conversation if you wanted to reach out to me on LinkedIn as well.
Thank you very much, Katie. We really are running out of time. One more quick question I've got here is about, can I share the email addresses of you all in case people have got other questions? What I will do is send those details out along with the recording after this session. And a social enterprise, are there any focus support services for social enterprise? Best really to sort of have a look at the networking and things like that and see if there's anything along those lines to help you there. Okay, we've run out of time. I'm so sorry that we've gone slightly over, but there's such a lot to cover. I'd just like to thank all of our speakers today, all of our panelists. Thank you so much for giving up your time. I'd like to thank Beth for doing a fantastic job with the support and getting up all the presentations and everything. And I'd like thank you all for coming along. Please, if I haven't answered your question, just get in touch. I will send you out an email and you'll have my address on there. And if there's anything that I can help you with or I can forward you to somebody, just let me know. Okay, thank you, everybody, and goodbye. Hope to see you again.
Thank you.